of how to do it. And taught how to use the knives. But if you don't develop the skill of how to hold that knife and how to use it, you're never going to be able to carve.
Carving has been Don Mcleay's passion for the past 3 decades. The Merrickville artist specializes in his own blend of West Coast native designs. Now, how does a guy who started on the West Coast, spent some time in Toronto, end up ultimately in Merrickville?
Well,
in a 140-year-old farmhouse. How does that work?
Like I said earlier, I came to Toronto for a show, and one thing led to another. I just kept staying and staying. And you got a TV
set up over here.
Yeah, it's the boys. They come and they stay in it in the summertime. And use it for a skiing lodge in the wintertime.
Is that a traditional use for the TP?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I was raised in Victoria and on the Vancouver Island. The stuff's all around you. And there's totem poles everywhere. So you don't pay no attention to it, but it's there. But when when you are taught what these form lines are doing, you start looking at this stuff like you've never seen it before. And it springs to life as soon as you know what that shape is doing, what the carver intended. Most collectors in North America and even in Europe know the basis of the shapes of the West Coast traditions. And they're very knowledgeable about whether things are right or wrong. Obviously the tourists don't understand it. They look at it and something looks nice and that's fine. But they don't understand the form lines and the tertiaries and secondaries or any other things like that.
So there is a formal structure to
You're
telling me something that I didn't know before, but I didn't realize that it could get that complicated and precise.
You should be able to put your finger or pencil or whatever on for instance, that carving over there, and the form lines are the black lines. And start down at that corner and go all the way to the tip and all the way back to that corner without ever coming off the black line, the black form line. It's the basis of it. Everything else represents joints, eye sockets, elbow sockets, hip joints. I was so into doing things traditional, more traditional than the traditionalists, because I had to be correct as far as I was concerned. Then lately, now that I can do these images, and I can do them correctly, and with some acceptance for quite a few carvers, I guess I'm confident enough in my own abilities to make another step, I guess, in another direction.
John, these two pieces, one of the right is considered a traditional piece, and the one on the left isn't. What makes this one traditional and this one not?
This is designed to fill an entire rectangle, and even though the shape of the raven is here, it's hard to tell this is also an ear and a wing. Whereas this piece doesn't fill, there's vast amounts of negative space in there. And you can actually see what it is. It's a killer whale. When they broach, water rolls off his body. The difference is that there's a very large amounts of negative space as opposed to the positive space in this. There's no negative space in it at all.
You have blended a number of traditional things together to come up with something that is essentially yours. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I learned from Haida, but I also had a lot of friends that were Haida, and some from Bella Bella, and from Bella Kabula, and some Shan, Nishka.
When you got into carving originally, you did it in sort of a real sideways fashion. My understanding was that you were a welder in a shipyard originally, right? And you had a roommate who was a carver. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, and it was between my payday, and he didn't have any carvings, and we had to get the rent together. So I traced the stuff for him, and he carved it. And he sold it and we got the rent together. About 6 weeks later, or something like that, I just quit the shipyard. Never went back. This first time was very crude. I mean, it came pretty quickly. Mainly because I was, I don't know, good with my hands, I guess. I was quite used to manipulating a welding rod. So it wasn't a big jump between that and a knife, although I cut myself a few times.
I was going to say, one of the hazards of the job, I'd be thinking. I notice you still have 10 fingers.
I have 10.
Yeah.
You have to visualize it when you're doing the design. You take a flat piece of board like this, and you're going to make something sculpted out of it.
When you look at a piece of wood, do you see the piece in it when it's still in its raw form as wood?
I hear that from other artists, and that they see that. They see what's in the wood. Well, I don't. I select a piece of wood that I like the grain in. It feels good. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. And I set out to do a loom. Basically, I carve everything away. It's not looking at a loom, and what's left is a loom. My problem has been with the traditional aspect is that why haven't we progressed in 500 years since the white man first came? And we have in the last, I would say, 30, 40 years. But Bill Reed and Robert Davis and a few others have taken a step beyond. Well, this is my step beyond.
I believe, yeah, I think we do.
Oh, my husband's mom used to whistle when they played street hockey. You have to go home. Anyway.
It's all dinner cooking at our house.
Oh,
we ran home.
That's nice. Tell me about this trip to the West Coast you allegedly had this week.
Well, I think after this wonderful spring we've been having with the 80 feet of snow, everyone could have used a little trip to the West Coast. And, well, I've got the perfect way to get you there. You just have to visit Don Mcleay of Merrickville.
The lamb is elusive. This day belongs to the lion, and its roar reverberates throughout towns in eastern Ontario, like Merrickville. A winter so slow to come, and even slower to leave, is, for some, unbearable. Not Don Mcleay. Sure, he's in the thick of it. But in his mind, he's thousands of miles away, on Canada's west coast, imagining the possibilities and making them real.
It's all West Coast. There's no other place on earth carves and paints, sculpts like the West Coast. I love the work. I've loved it ever since I saw it. The man who taught me to love it. If I was going to do it properly. There are 7 different nations that carve on the West Coast, and I can carve all of them.
He is part Plains Cree, born in Saskatchewan, raised from the age of 9 in British Columbia. On Vancouver Island, Don Mcleay first learned the traditional maneuverings of the knife and chisel.
I can understand the whole concept pretty easily. Most people can't. I knew about it. It just was there for me. I didn't have to. I studied, yes. I had to learn more and more. The thing was right there for me. right from the very beginning.
It felt like it was already part of you.
Yeah. But then I grown up with it too. When I was, from the time I was 9 years old. I don't know anything about being Cree. Everything I know is from the West Coast.
The need to make ends meet as a teenager gave birth to Don's carving career. A one-time shipyard worker and apprentice furniture maker, Don, like many his age, often struggled to get by. A talented friend had a solution.
It was in between paydays for me, and he didn't have any money for rent, and I didn't either. So he was a carver. That's what he did for a living. And so we needed something within a couple of days. So I traced them out for him, and he carved them and sold them. And I thought, boy, this is a pretty easy way to make money. Of course, it wasn't, but at the time it looked pretty good. And that's how I started.
Don's images are rooted in nature and his native background, each delicately carved into its freestanding sculptures, totems, and three-dimensional wall panels.
There's only a few colors involved because that's all you could get from nature. But what is really unique about it is it's very highly developed and has been for 1,000 years or more. But, I mean, if you trace it, I mean, they have old pieces that they've dredged up out of the river bottoms and things like that, and old boxes that they've taken from burial grounds. The style has been there all along.
A line of fine art furniture marries his exquisite carvings with painted West Coast designs. He strives to make these pieces not just beautiful, but functional. They are to be admired, yes, but also used.
I treat it like furniture because that's what it is. What I have in my home, I use because that's what it's for, to be used. You have to remember that pre-contact, these things were used. Bowls were for eating out of, and boxes were for cooking out of, and storage, and for hunting with. These things were used. They were decorated, yes, because on the West Coast they had time. They didn't have to scrabble for food in the wintertime. So they evolved this artwork. But they did use that stuff. And when it was broken, they threw it away.
The West Coast stylings of Don Mcleay can be found in museums and galleries throughout the world, in private collections in some 26 countries. Here in Ottawa, for more than 20 years, Don's carvings have been showcased along the Spark Street Mall, in the stores specializing in the art of Canadian, Inuit, and Indian artists.
We've been very fortunate to have his work over the years. Very high quality, and he's a lot of fun to deal with. He's a great fellow.
Ian Wright is the co-owner of the Snow Goose and a vocal supporter of Don Mcleay and his art.
There's not a great deal of Northwest Coast art out east, and the stuff that you do see tends to be quite expensive. Don's work remains affordable, yet, as I said, the quality is very high. And with West Coast art, what you want to look for is very clean carving, clean painting. The designs should be structured well, both with the modern feel that you're seeing nowadays, but there is a traditional structure to the art which Don follows.
Do a lot of people look for the work of Don Mcleay to come in here?
A lot of people do. Yeah, he's getting quite a name for himself in the area, and he's been around for so long. People see his work, and as you know, it's very dramatic, and as soon as they see it, say, oh, we've got to have that in our house.
It's a reputation Don works hard to uphold. He's admittedly his own worst critic. It seems tough self-love makes for good art.
I really try to do it to the best of my ability. Because people are buying this stuff, I don't see why they shouldn't get my best. Even though I say, this is the worst piece of junk I made, and the next piece is going to be the best one. I try to give them what they asked for, what they're purchasing.
And while he takes pride in every piece, Don's not sentimental about seeing them go out the door.
I hear people say, gee, I sure hated to sell that. Well, why did you? You know, why didn't you keep it? Me, if I make a piece for sale, it's sold. I sell it. It's not rude to me. You know, it's not mine. I made it for sale. And someone loves it more than I do because they bought it.
At age 62, Don has a dream for the future, to retire soon. Not from carving, but to the West Coast, leaving the Merrickville he loves.
When I came here and took one look at it, I wanted to live here. 3 months later, we were living on a farm just outside America. And couldn't quite afford it, so we bought this place in town. I'm retiring here, but my children are on the West Coast, and my partner's children are on the West Coast. It'd be nicer to be there.
And so, perhaps, he'll leave one home for another, continuing what he does best, carving lasting pieces for us, and an enduring legacy for himself.
I always think somebody's going to appreciate that this. I wonder, some 50 years from now, I wonder who made it. Who is this guy? Because you don't think of yourself as have any kind of fame. I just like doing stuff. And it's good that I get paid to do it. I still want to work. I'll probably work till I fall down, I guess. Or can't get up or something.
Have the chisels and the knives in the hand for some time.
Yeah. Very well. Morning chant.
Wow, Joel, Don's carvings are so striking.
He's got a lot of fans out there.
And his line of furniture is beautiful, too.
Yeah, he's filling up houses all over the place with that stuff. And you know what I'd like to see? I can't wait till Don does his next large totem pole.
Well, give us a call, Don. Let us know.
Be so contact. We'll be right back.
You know how it is when you visit an art gallery, you admire the work in whispers and hushed tones. Well, how about a place where art and ale come together? And how about two very different plays for Valentine's Day? Newsday's Leanna Verrucci is on the scene.
I'm at the Meg's Pub on Elgin Street, a popular place to enjoy a pint with a steak and kidney pie. Not the type of place you'd expect to find an art exhibit.
I've never been in this kind of atmosphere with my art, and it's a little bit different. And I don't see any reason why people can't come to a pub and have a meal and a beer and enjoy art.
I really think it's a great way to promote local artists and artists from the region. I think it's super.
So does Marcia Lee. As an owner of the Meg's Pub, she's happy to switch from beer to champagne for an art opening. This month, the artist is Don Mcleay.
If you have any questions of the artist, please feel free to talk to him.
I think it's a good idea. I don't know what it brings the artist. I have no figures in that. But it certainly brings something to the people who frequent the place.
People are more relaxed in the kind of atmosphere than they are in a very uptight gallery situation. This is completely informal. I'm able to go and talk to someone informally without having a tie on. I'm an artist who has to be Indian, so I mean I do many types of sculpture, and not always based on Indian. If I'm showing my paintings, then I'm just a painter who happens to be Indian. If I'm showing my sculptures, and it's in the style of the Northwest Coast. I try to make people understand that this was a great art form long before the white man ever came here.
It's broadened my horizons, and especially with the Indian art. I think it's great. I think it mixes really well, especially with the type of clients that they get here. So businessy type people to the artsy fancy types, you know.
This is nice because it's really part of life, and like I said, people who wouldn't think of going to an art gallery come and are full of opinions.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind visiting it. Several times.
And why not? He sold 5 pieces since the show opened. Don Mcleay's work will be at the Manx Pub until the end of February. With Valentine's Day approaching, romance is in the air.
Why don't I buy you a nice new mirror? One that plays an